All right, hey, this is Jim, and I'm here at NAMM 2020 with George from UDO with an update on the Super 6.
Indeed, yeah. So
And
we made it, we just about made it across the very long flight and rush hour LA traffic, which is like Mario Karts from a nightmare.
Yeah, I learned to drive in this stuff, so, you know, I'm with you.
So you're a vet.
I'm from here, yeah. Well, you know, I saw the Super 6 at Berlin, and I was extremely impressed. I got a chance to play it, did a little video with just some sounds only, but you guys have done quite a bit of work on it since then.
We have. I think it's fair to say that the instrument that you played on there, that you did a nice little demo for us, little sounds-only demo, but it was in a very rudimentary state. And I'd like to think that now it's a lot more accomplished. We've got basically everything on it pretty much going. We've still got a few little pieces we're finishing off, but it's basically all there. And it really does quite a lot more than it did then.
So what are some of the things you've done? What are some of the things that you're the most excited about that you've made progress on?
So some of the things, actually, since the last time that we did a short video with Sonicstate, Nick Batt said, oh yeah, well wouldn't it be nice if you could basically make the LFO a full third oscillator with any waveform? And so yeah, we've made the Batwave modification. So now it's a like little cheeky trick, but if you just hold down the shift button and rotate the control, you copy across the waveform from oscillator 1 onto the LFO. And because you can key track the LFO and run it through the audio path, you can actually get this as a full third oscillator, and then you're back free to do whatever you like with oscillator 1. So they don't have to be the same waveform. But what that means is you can use any of your own waveforms that you put in here, W1 to 16 that are on the disc inside that you can place on. They can now be put onto the LFO as well. So they can both be a complex oscillator, but also if you take it out of the high frequency mode, you can basically use it as a complex LFO now with a sort of any waveform you like as the LFO pattern, which is pretty powerful. It's pretty useful stuff.
Yeah. So how do you introduce that then into the audio path, the audio signal, with the LFO acting as a audio or as a waveform?
Yeah.
There?
Should I do a little
How do you
demo?
do that? Yeah, do that.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip everything back to the init patch, but I'm going to do it manually just to show you how easy it is, and then we'll just quickly add in the LFO and show you how that's done.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hopefully it'll be as quick as I can. So I'm going to hit the manual control, makes everything pick up where it is, pull everything into the down position. And we're back to a basic sawtooth. And so if we kind of make a, I don't know, put a little something on there, maybe a bit of delay. So if we can put the LFO through the audio path of oscillator 1, we put it to high frequency and tracking mode. Anyway, gives you a bit of an idea of how you put it in. And so that's currently a sine wave, which you can make phase in. And so what we can do is we can copy across a different waveform as well. So if we want to copy across the sawtooth wave, I can just, a little cheeky shift function.
So what do you do there? It's just a shift function that'll then send that wave to your, acting as your LFO wave.
What's that, sorry?
So when you hit the shift, whatever that function is, then it sends you, whatever that wave is now,
Yeah,
the shape
now
of
I
your
can
LFO.
copy it across. And that also means, that doesn't mean I'm now locked to have the same waveform. They can be different waveforms. So I can move this to one of our custom waves, for example, if I put something bright on there. Yeah, and you can sort of carry on like that. And then, of course, you've still got your third oscillator. Well, third oscillator, your
second actual.
primary, and that's your third. So, of course, then you can add this in as well. And of course, yeah, so you can kind of do chordal type affairs.
How does that work with when you're using the LFO? Because I know you've got the binaural aspect of it too. How does the LFO interact with the binaural aspect of it, or does it? Or
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's quite difficult for me to give you a demo here because you haven't got the headphones on or on the speakers. But because you have a phase control here on the LFO, you can basically offset your waveforms gradually. I don't know if you can see that the phase moves from 0 to 2 pi. It allows you to move the LFOs to in phase through your 2 analog channels, gradually through out of phase, and gradually through back to in phase again. And so imagine that was mapped to, say, tremolo. That basically moves from tremolo through to autopan, back to tremolo again, by shifting the 2 phases. Now, when that gets interesting is when you're doing audio rate FM with the LFO. So now you can actually start doing phase shifted FM left and right, and a cheeky little thing which we didn't have before. If I say, for example, want to map, I don't know, the expression pedal to the LFO1 pitch, I just dial it in with a really simple dial up like that, and it's done. Anyway, hopefully it gave you a little demo of just how quick it is to assign those modulations. So you can also do that with left and right phase. So if I say, for example, just want to quickly clear those destinations, that's done. Now I want to map my pedal to the LFO phase and just dial in a bit of that. We can actually control the stereo movement now with the pedal, or aftertouch, velocity, envelopes, LFOs. The second oscillator can now control the phasing, so you can actually do audio rate modulation between the second oscillator and the LFO phases. It starts to go a bit crazy quite quickly, but hopefully you get the idea that yes, it's an LFO, it looks like a simple module, but it's also an oscillator, it's also an envelope generator. And all of the functions are a little bit like that. So the filter, for example, now has a lovely little loop function, which loops up into audio rate as well. So you can actually do key tracking FM with the filter envelope. So the filter envelope becomes an FM source. It also becomes an LFO as well, if it's sort of a slower thing. So all these modules are sort of, because of these super high sample rates, what we can do with the FPGA, you start to just like remove the backdrop, if that makes sense. Nothing stops. The LFO just keeps going from DC to daylight. The envelope allows you to do some funky things. And hopefully, when you get to play around with this thing, maybe you get a chance to do another sounds-only demo, and you can have a bit of fun. Because, yeah, it looks simple on the surface, but actually now the modulation matrix is in there, all of the secondary functions of these modules, it's really opening it out and letting you do some really interesting stuff, basically.
Well, I'm excited to check it out. It's just amazing to me that you've done so much, because as I was saying before, I mean, even at Super Booth, it sounded great. And now it's just so much more even than what you had then.
There is so much more, and yeah, I lose hours. Honestly, I lose hours playing this thing. We should be coding it, should be doing it. But yeah, we did. I did a demo. Before Sonicstate, a few days before, did a long demo in Berlin at Schneiderslade, where I just improvised this thing for 45 minutes, just playing. I had my headphones on in a room full of people. And I just totally lost myself. I had no idea that they were there.
Isn't that what synthesizers are supposed to be?
Well,
that's what I think.
That's absolutely what they're for. And I think there's like, we're here at NAMM show, everything's like massive and it's in your face and it's like, yeah, it's like everything's super pro and like, we feel like we've left the soft play area and come to big school carrying our rucksacks like the little year 7s at NAMM. Honestly, that's how we feel.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to be a pro to enjoy these things. And I think that there is a crossover now, like, synthesizers are taking the place with guitars. You know, people have a great guitar at home. They don't have to be a virtuoso player to really enjoy picking the thing up, doing a few basic chords. And our synthesizer's a bit like that. It's not like a computer. It's easy to play. It's easy to have fun. And, you know, it is about just, you know, you might not go and finish loads of tracks and make loads of great music, but you're going to sit in front of this thing, put some headphones on or put speakers and just enjoy
yourself.
it. Just lose yourself and just enjoy it. I know I certainly do, and I hope other people get the chance to as well.
Well, hey, thanks. Thanks, George.
Thank you. Cheers.